Welcome to the instructional part of the video. Check the description box below for tabs and backing tracks on my website, information about the sound tools I'm using today, and links to other goodies via my Patreon page. Continuing, how to not ruin the song by being a guitar player who's playing bass. Step 1, I'm going to do everything with a pick because we're guitar players, so I'm going to just assume we're most comfortable with pick. Of course, you want to be cool, or fingers, but pick, I'm using a pretty thick pick, a Dunlop 1.14 with beveled edges though, which make it good for this job. Clickety clack, slam that hand down here. That's the first mission us guitar players have to not ruin the song by playing the bass on it. Is we want to be very used to sitting on the strings. There might be a temptation to go over here, which is a sound for sure. Which honestly on this Hiwatt, it doesn't really matter the way I have it set. Also, these strings are older than the Bible. I think these strings have been on here for like 10 years. Very dead strings I like to use because that high end is something you have to control when you're a guitar player trying not to ruin the song with your bass sounds. Now, the number one thing to make up a bass part for a song is realize, A, you're an extension of the drums. You're not a guitar anymore. You're more like the drums. And then your next thing is, don't... There's a couple of things. Be decisive. That's the first thing, and so we'll talk about that. Here's what I mean. You take whatever idea you had, and I talk about this with guitar, and this is true in life too, by the way. Take an idea and at least see it through to its fruition to decide whether or not it was a good idea or bad idea. So this progression in this song is an E flat, a C minor, and a G minor, which you could argue is the song's in G minor, or you could argue it's an E flat, doesn't matter. And the first time through the loop, there's a fly in here. Okay, that was just me, there's a couple of things going on in there. So my idea was, obviously, your number one job is to hit the root note. I feel like that scene in The Office with Angela. Anyway, she's like, your number one job is to hit the root note. So at the very least, just do that and you'll be okay. So that's why I started with that 6, that E flat. Then I'm just going to walk down because I know that I am in G minor. So yeah, I'm thinking of that scale. Now this fill, that's a Lucky Scott fill, Curtis Mayfield's bass player. I use that one all the time. It's one of my favorite little fills, because if this is C minor, again, just like with guitar, you use chord tones and pentatonic scales to find stuff. He's doing, that's like a fill, that's the 9th of that chord. So by itself, it sounds like a blues fill off G. But against a C, it gives you this cool slide to that 7, 5, 3, 5. Everybody still going? Everybody still going? Sorry, I have to check stuff. I don't have a production assistant. And stuff breaks. This is my second time filming this video. So there's my little 5, 3, 5, all out of that shape. And then, just cause, octaves. 3, 5, a walk up a scale, 3, 3, 5, 6. Then the next time through, I was thinking of like an Adam Clayton type thing, a U2, a very simple, just drive it on the root notes. Oh, that's a decision I've made. So that's, 6. A lot of 6s. 6, 6, 6, the bass line of the beast. 3, 3. 1. These are all scale tones. 3. And there's that walk up again. That's still out of G minor. And then the next decision I made was, what would Flea do? Or, again, not slapping Flea. This is something he does, I think, in Funky Monks. He's just like... literally right there with Chad Smith's kick drum. So that time around I go... which is, yeah, just matching the kick drum pattern of my imaginary Chad Smith, which that's a good thing to do. Only word of warning with that is, with a real life drummer, when you do that to them, it freaks them out a little bit, and then they start changing their kick drum pattern. So you end up chasing each other, and it can kind of throw the groove off. So my advice would be, follow the kick drum pattern, but recognize that, like, it's okay if it's not with every single one of them. It's okay if it's kind of your take on what the kick drum pattern is, and let the drummer do what their take is. And you're like, well, it's somewhere in between those two things. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is a little bit of just left-hand thing for us guitar players playing bass. Boy, howdy, a bass is bigger than guitar. You know, so stretches that on guitar you would think to do like that. A lot of times a 2-fret stretch on bass is going to be index and pinky. That's something to think about. And I generally tell people, keep those fingers close to the strings, because especially this low E string, I was showing someone Sissy Strut by the Meters, great, you know, classic funk bass line to learn. And every time Frank went up to that one, he was getting that low string was ringing out, because it's just such a big wire that just lifting your finger off is going to make noise. So that's where the muting comes in, and also just generally compared to the other thing that I think we need to know about with bass is, if you're gonna go like okay, Pink Floyd Money, this kind of stuff is tricky. Like, don't do this. You know, you can't. You have to do a lot of like pad finger rolling type stuff to get things to come out. Do I remember the rest? Anyway, finger rolling, keeping the fingers close here, keeping that down there, playing to the drummer, being decisive. These are all, yes, principles. The next time through the progression, I did like a McCartney, but not melodic McCartney kind of thing, a more like derpy McCartney kind of thing, derp bass. Because he'll do this one too. Like, this is just root and fives. This is country bass, really. 6, 6, 6. Walk it back. 3, 3, 3. Walk it back. Big arpeggio. 3, 5, 10, 5. Oh, by the way, there's slow down gears in YouTube over here, over here. Spacebar pauses. Arrows go forward and back. If I'm talking too fast, if I'm talking too fast, just do that. Because, yeah, root and 5, that's kind of the next really evolution of simple bass playing, is that's country bass line. This could easily be like a is, you know, that's a, which that can work too. That doesn't have to be in a country song. That can just be a good bass line. Yeah, it's all about really, you know, what we don't want to be as guitar players is like, We don't want to take a solo the whole time. That's the main point I'm trying to get across, is realize we are not doing that. We are being decisive, and we are being rhythmic, and we are making choices, and we are sticking to them. The last loop through I did was one of my favorite syncopations, which is this is actually based off Bo Diddley, which is based off of the samba. It's grouping notes in 3, 3, and 2. I'll explain in a second. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You'll hear actually bass players do that a lot. So 4/4 music is 4 beats per bar. That's divided usually into eighth notes: 1, add 2, add 3, add 4, add 1, add 2, add 3, add 4, add. But the diddly thing or the samba thing is saying, but hold up though. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 also equals 8. Whoa, dude, cool. So that's like a square peg round hole kind of situation, really triangle in square kind of situation, where you're bouncing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And that is, there's my E flat again, a little just scalular pentatonic, major pentatonic on that. 6, 3, 5. There's a spare 3 down here, because that's a chord tone. 3, and then 3, 5, 6, because there's my C minor. And there's my G minor scale. And then a big G pentatonic minor thing. 3, 1, 3, 5, 3, 5. Yeah, giving us. I'll talk about more in a second as I review everything, but there's all the pieces of the actual playing. Cool. To be continued. 1 second. To review, bass playing for guitar, number 1, obviously, there's the technical things. Mute it, keep them close. Think about those big distances that you have to deal with. You're going to have to use your pinky more. Conceptually, think of a matrix. Are you simple? Are you complex? Are you rhythmic, or are you melodic? Generally, let's start simple, and rhythmic is the safest way to go. Remember, our number 1 job is to play the root note and not ruin the song. As guitar players, we don't do too well with thinking about things simply. We always try to shoehorn in more hot licks and more cool stuff. Remember, it's not bass playing. Bass playing is very simple. Bass playing is an extension of the drum set. So always start there. Go realize that you're not a guitar anymore. You're somehow a drum set that is a guitar. So think of it that way. Know that you're following chord tones and chord shapes just like you would be on guitar. You're going to use pentatonics and scale tones just like you would on guitar, but in this very simple, decisive way that's there to, bass has a lot of power to glue a song together or to ruin it. It's one of the most powerful instruments for that reason, because everything sits on top of it. So realize that basically the lesson could have been 30 seconds long. I could have just said, keep it simple, stupid. And that would have been fine, but I wanted to be more specific. That's it. I hope that helps. Have a good day.